Let's see an example. So in this example, we are trying to create a data set called as ABCD, where we have defined two variables, x equals to 1 and z equals to x by 4, and then run, and then we're trying to print this data set. So can you please tell me in the comment section that how many observations and how many variables are there? So for this, the observation is 1 because we have a 1 row, and then the total number of variables is 2. Okay, so that's all. Now we'll see the basic difference between a data step and a proc step. So from an interview perspective, this is a basic question that someone can ask you, like what is data step and what is proc step, and it is exactly same as what I have explained in this diagram. Okay, so data step always start with a keyword called as data. Proc step always start with a keyword which is called as proc. Both these data step and proc step always end with run. Okay, in base SAS, when whatever will start data, proc, and or any keywords, it has to be end with a run statement. Okay, the input to a data step can be any external file. It can be a CSV, it can be a TXT, it can be a .dat file, and any data warehouse, we can connect it to any data warehouse, Oracle, DB2, anything. But the for proc step, the input is always a SAS data set. Okay, so this is the main difference between a data step and a proc step. The output of the data step is always a SAS data set. The output of the data step can never be a chart or a graph or an Excel file. It is always a SAS data step only. Whereas the output of a proc step is a report. Okay, so we have seen till here. Now, one basic thing that I want to cover, I would have covered this before, but let's discuss this now. SAS data set is not a case sensitive program, not a case sensitive language. It means that if we are creating any data set, suppose a temp data set we have created in capital letter, okay, and we have given an input statement where we have described all our variables, and then under the cards or data lines, we have given our multiple inputs. Whereas this is the structure of the program that we have discussed of a basic thing. Now, if I want to print this data set, so I can write proc print data equals to temp in small letters. So SAS will display me this data set, that the one which I have created here. Okay, so SAS is not a case sensitive programming language, whereas R and Python are case sensitive. If we are writing the same kind of a syntax in R and Python, then we have to give this exact table name, which is in capital letter. But in SAS, if you remember what is the name of a table, I think that's more than enough for you to print or reopen the table. Okay. So that is one specialty of SAS, which makes it very user friendly, actually very user friendly. Now we'll see how we can create a SAS data set. What are the rules for creating a SAS data set? It is exactly same as how we are deciding our passwords. Like by creating any password, we do have to give one uppercase, one smaller case, one special signal, character signal, letters, numbers. Similarly, there are certain rules to create to write a SAS data set name. Okay. So here the SAS data set name is a temp. Now we'll see how we can, what are all the criteria to create a SAS data set. So always a SAS data set name should start with a character or an underscore. We can't give numbers at the beginning, for example, 2 temp, 3 temp, or any special signal, ampersand, dollar, anything. It always has to be start with an underscore or a character, and then in between we can give any kind of a signal. The length should always be 1 to 32 character. We can't write a table name which is more than 32 characters, otherwise they'll give an, the SAS will throw an error. The default length of numeric, whatever the numbers are numeric, whatever the variables are numeric, is 8 bytes, and the default length for a character is 32767. So these are some points which we have to remember while giving a name to a table. Now, we saw here that 1 to 32 characters, it should be within 1 to 32 characters. So in a practical, you can always try for practicing, you can just try to give more than 32 characters and just check what is the error that SAS is giving, and please ping me in the comment section. Okay? So, and the same rules is applicable when you are creating a variable, which is numeric or a character variable. Okay? Now, we'll talk on the missing representation. A missing representation is very common and it is applicable to all the places. Like in every language, we do have some missing representation. Okay? So let's see missing representation. So first, as we discussed, we have two types of data type in SAS. First is character. The second one is numeric. Now, to define a character variable, we are notifying it with a dollar symbol. And for a numeric data type, we are not giving anything. Now, what should be the missing representation? Missing representation means when you are trying to call any record and by chance in between of the multiple records, if something got messed up, then how SAS will notify? Okay, it will notify with a blank. If it encountered any record is missing in between the file, then it will just give us a blank sign. Okay? Whereas for numeric, it will represent with a dot. Moving on to the next topic, which is the variables and the character. So a lot of you have doubts ki if we are declaring any variable as a character, then we are passing some numbers value, we can pass the letters, but not the same with the numeric variable. When we have declared a variable as a numeric, we can't pass letters to it. Okay, so let's see ki when we are trying to pass a letter to a numeric variable, what it will give, what is an error that we'll get. Okay, so this is something you should always remember ki a character can be a letter, obviously a b c d anything, and numbers, if you're declaring anything under an inverted comma, that will take as a character, 24, 25, any number. But it's not same with the numeric has always to be a number starting from 0 to like 9, a combination of anything. We can't pass any letters to a numeric variable. Okay. Let's try to run this code. Now this is a data set that we have created, temp, this is section, and then this is an students. Okay. This is a simple data set where we are trying to create two variables with the three observations. Okay. We have three sections And in section A, we have 20 students. In section B, we have 35 students. And the third is not section C, it's a section 10 where we are telling that we have 60 students. Let's try to run this. See, I have declared this section as a character because you can see a dollar symbol is there, but after the students we don't have a dollar symbol. So it's a numeric function. It's a numeric variable. But now when we are trying to pass it, 10 is coming in section and then it is showing us 20, 35 and the 60 values. We'll try to do the vice versa of this. Okay. Uh, now, this is a data set which is temp2 and we have same section A, B and 10, whereas we're trying to tell SAS for section A we have 20 students, for B we have 35 students, but then we have wrote this thing, the value in a letter format. And section 10 has 60. Now let's try and see what it is giving. See, it's a blank. So already we discussed if the students is a number variable, it's a numeric variable, then the missing representation will be with a dot. Okay, but if the missing representation is for a character variable, then it has to be a blank. So we can see here a dot. It SAS didn't consider 35, which was in letters to read, so that's why it is showing as a missing representation. Okay, this type of an error we called as a data error. Okay, because so in SAS we have two types of an error, which is like code error and a data error, which we will discuss in our upcoming videos. But this is something we call this example as a data error. Okay, so we'll pause this video here.